This is Cars in Cleveland, where we talk about really beautiful cars and people who are investing in Cleveland. I'm Andrea Vecchio. We're headed to Chagrin Falls to talk to Bret Adams, the CEO of Chef Artpour Restaurant Group, and most well known for creating the Burntwood Taverns and M Italian. What gets you more excited about the business, the food side or the business side of the business?
I grew up in the kitchen, so I was cooking at 15, and so that was the foundation. And I'm very passionate about the menus and the food and ripping pages out of magazines. So I get excited about that, but I also get excited about development and design. Walking into a restaurant that is a great location with maybe not the great operator, and just grabbing our design director of design and walking through with him textures and colors and stuff like you see around here. It's easy to get excited about that too.
If anybody were to Google your name, I mean, it's definitely written the record and the history of how this all came to be, that you were a part of the Bravo Brio group. You got out of it, you were going for a run, you took like a right turn or a left turn, you saw a billboard that said like this restaurant's for sale, and there you were, found yourself back in the restaurant business again. Mm-hmm. When you decided to take that leap and start your own company, are you thinking about the macro and growing, or are you like, you know what, I just want to have one restaurant and make sure it's running like a well-oiled machine and I'm good with that?
Our goal was to have one restaurant, get involved in the community and the churches, and just be passionate about Chagrin Falls, because that's it's our backyard. So to say 10 years ago next month that we would have 15 to 20 restaurants, I would have laughed at that situation. But I'd wake up in the morning and go mop the floors and then be the hostess and then be the manager, and it was awesome, because it was, if I didn't know your name when you walked in, I knew it before you left.
And, it was like cheers.
Yeah. So if you came in at happy hour and we knew your drink, the bartender would have your drink on the table when you walked in the door. So that's sort of the culture. We don't use the C word. We use guest, because guests, that's the guest in your home. As
you grow, you can't be everywhere, right? You have 15 restaurants now. More to come. You can't be in all of them at the same time, right? Like, we haven't figured that part out of technology yet. Not exactly, right? They haven't cloned you yet. So how do you make sure that quality control and that feeling of every person who walks through the door is a guest in our home? Because nobody's ever going to care about the business as much as you and your wife are, right? Like, because it's your business.
Sure.
How do you instill with your other employees that they care enough that it's almost as if you're like looking over their shoulder all the time?
It's a challenge, but I think again, we've been fortunate enough to surround ourselves with a handful of guys and gals that are just passionate about it, and they share that passion. And everybody likes to make money, but for us, it's long term. It's about the guests and the guest experience. And we say there's Oz behind the curtain, and it's a limitless supply of chocolate, calamari, and champagne. And so when we make a mistake, throw as much of that at the guest as you can, and if it gets worse, then pull money out of the register and give it to the guest. Like, whatever it takes to make that guest happy is our passion.
You seem to have, is it a sixth sense of a location that's going to attract people? Because what do they always say? Location, 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 right? When it comes to business. And as you've grown, do you do all these site checks yourself? And is it just an intuition thing, or is there a formula to how you decide where you're going to go?
Yeah, it's not magic. It's a little bit logical. We look for great locations, again, where the operators, maybe some of these companies are corporate companies that closed down where the location was great. They just didn't survive because of the company. And so that's our first, but we're very hands-on. Like when we walk into a location, we touch it, we feel it. We'll sit down where guests will be and just size things up. Some of these companies are corporate companies that closed down where the location was great. They just didn't survive because of the company. And so that's our first But we're very hands-on. Like when we walk into a location, we touch it, we feel it. We'll sit down where guests will be and just size things up. It really comes down to how do we feel about it? How does it feel like it could be a great restaurant?
This is Cars and Cleveland. You like a nice ride to get around. I know you. I know they love you over Mercedes-Benz of North Olmsted. I know they do.
Yeah, they've been great. They've been great. Colin was great, and we've. My wife had a Mercedes for a couple years that she leased, and she turned it in, and they helped us build a G-Wagon for her, and it's a great experience. Great experience.
Yeah, I know. I think because again, it's about the guest experience. So do you feel like, knowing what your model is as a business, you like working with other businesses that kind of mirror or mimic a similar model to what you have?
Sure. Yeah. It's again, relationships, guest experiences. It obviously feels better, and it makes you engage more and creates friends too.